my loves, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a review and demos of the new Kaleidos Alma Viva Collection. It was sent to me by Kaleidos. They sent like the full set, the fancy pants set. It comes in this absolutely gorgeous box. This is embroidered. It's stunning. All of the packaging is embroidered. It also comes with a little mirror. The box does have a mirror inside. Say hello to yourself. You are the camera. It has a pretty generous mirror in there. It's a really good quality one as well. So comes in a beautiful box. That is part of the, what do they call it? Let me double check this on the website. The full set, Alma Viva full set. I will say that if you go onto the Kaleidos website, they have prices in like relevant to your country. So I'm not actually going to talk about the prices of each individual product in this. I would say if you're interested in any of these products, then you're going to want to know the price. So you can just go to the website and it will automatically show you the prices in your own region. So let's go through all of the products. I will do some swatches, then we'll get into the demos, and then I am going to do some comparison swatches at the end of the video. So if you want to see that, you can stick around for it. But without further ado, let's get started right now. So we have two cute little quad palettes here. We have Venus Trap, which is, I would say, call it grey, silver, and pink. And then we have Twilight Rush, and I would call this grey, purple, and black. So let's swatch these. We'll start with Venus Trap. So the base shade they call a low saturation pink or low saturated pink, which I would say is accurate. It is a very, very light color and it goes on quite sheer. You do have to build it to get intensity. Radiate is like a silver shimmer, but look, see? You can see it there. There is taupey hints in there. It is an absolutely gorgeous shade. Look at the light reflect. This is stunning. This is gorgeous. I love it. It's beautiful. The formulation is really, really nice. I will say with these shimmery formulas, you can and probably will get a little bit of fallout. Not a lot. I applied them dry but over a sticky base and I got a little bit of fallout. I think if you applied them wet, you would be in a much better off position. Diffuse shade they call a muted shadow shade with mauve tones. I would agree with that. I do think there is a hint of mauve in there. I think it's coming off a bit more browny grey on my screen, but hopefully in editing it will have that mauvey look to it. I quite like this one. I think this is a nice combo and it works well with my colouring. When you get into the accentuate shade, which is the darkest shade in the palette, they call it a cool gunmetal brown. For me, when I add this, it makes it look too dark. But that's simply because I don't really get along well with super dark shades like this. It does something to my eyes that I'm not really a fan of. It just kind of closes them off. I think it's too much for me. This trio I really enjoy, but if you have larger eyes or you do enjoy a dark shade, then I think this is the perfect shade to work with the palette. Moving on to Twilight Rush. So this is the one that has the purple in it and it does lean quite a bit more purple. So the base shade they call a low saturated indigo grey. I actually think when you swatch this, it certainly has more of those indigo tones, but I feel like on the eye, at least for me, it looked a bit more grey. I don't know, maybe it's more the way it sits on my undertone. I'm not too sure. Going into the Radiate shade, this is a stunning, again, really beautiful, light reflective purple. They call it a lilac that shifts from fuchsia to pink to lilac, and I mean it's kind of hard to show you, but you can see that there is a bit of shifty color in there. It's been a while since I've done a video like this. Words. It's really nice, absolutely beautiful, but you can also dust these over a dry eyelid and they give you a really like soft sort of ethereal look. But in saying that, make sure you don't do your base first because you're going to have some fallout to clean up. The diffuse shade is a muted lilac, and then the accentuate shade is a gunmetal black with a like glitter in it. In the pan it looks like silver glitter, but I think it's a bit more nuanced than that. They say it's infused with twinkling shimmers, so I would say that that is a fairly accurate description of this shade. Again, for me, this part of the palette is up my alley when it comes to like colors and depth of color, but when you get into the black it's a bit too much. That is personal preference though, and I know that there will be a lot of people who watch me who really love the darker shades in these palettes. It's pretty clear that these are both extremely cool toned eyeshadow palettes, so if you don't vibe cool toned eyeshadows, this is obviously not going to be for you. And you might also be thinking, God, they look like all of the other Kaleidos eyeshadow palettes. I'm not going to get too into that right now. I'm going to do that at the end. I'll show some side by side. But after using them and swatching them and all that jazz, I do feel like they are a little nuanced. Okay, that's enough about the eyeshadow palettes. Let's move on to the blushes. So there are 4 new blushes in the Alma Viva collection. We have seen 5 released previously in the Smoky Nostalgia collection. Again, I will compare them later in the video, but let's start with these guys. This one's Hot Shot and this one is Pearl Bliss. These two are the brown ones in the range and could also be used as bronzers or contours. I used them both as bronzers and I thought they worked pretty well. I would definitely say it is going to depend on the depth of your skin tone and also your undertone as to whether these work for you as bronzers. I have an olive undertone and I'm pretty fair at the moment. We're coming out of winter and I spent most of it inside because it's bloody cold. So first up we've got Hot Shot and then we have Pearl Bliss. I'm gonna build these up so you can try to see the color differences. So they call Hot Shot, which is one at the top here, a sun-bathed, cool-toned, light cinnamon brown. And they call Pearl Bliss, so the one underneath, a cool-toned, earthly hazel with rose accents. And they do say that this has a micronized shimmer. I don't really see the shimmer, but that's okay. This one is definitely more pinky toned and this one is definitely more orange toned. I've used them both. Today I'm wearing Pearl Bliss as a bronzer and I think it is fine. I did apply it lightly. Don't go too heavy-handed. I mean, it doesn't even matter if you go too heavy-handed because these are very lightly pigmented. I will say this about the blushes in this range, they're very, very soft. They're very, very light in both color and pigmentation. So if you like a more intense color, a more vibrant or rich pigmentation when it comes to blushes, or if you're considering trying either of these as bronzers and you want to like pack a punch, these probably aren't for you. The next two in the range are Pale Rose and Angel Wing. So side by side, we can see a soft pink and what looks like maybe a soft apricot. All right, let's start with Pale Rose first. Oh, we're gonna have to build it up. These are really, really like, they're very soft, guys. They call it a cool toned smoky mauve rose. I think it looks sort of baby pinkish on my screen, and the swatch on my hand also looks a bit like almost like a baby Barbie pink, but I actually think the way this comes off on the skin is really nice and soft and subtle. Then we have Angel Wing. They call it a satiny milky apricot which I think that's fair. I think that's pretty fair. I'm wearing this one today very lightly. I will say that this one has more pigmentation than Pale Rose, which kind of shocked me. I use the same brush to apply them with each application, and yeah, this one just packs more punch initially. Don't get me wrong, it's not a lot of punch, okay? Like I said, if you like a really pigmented blush, don't look at these because they're not for you. You're going to be disappointed. I suspect with these blushes, specifically these two, that there would probably be a lot of people complaining about the pigmentation and how light they are and stuff like that. I think these are catering to a very specific market. People who like soft blushes, subtle, very, very subtle blushes, who go for that. You can barely tell that it's makeup effect. It's like a soft, like it could just be a natural flush coming from within your skin. And also people who have very, very fair skin. With the release of this collection, we have also seen a completely new product come from Kaleidos. When I got the email from Kaleidos saying that they had a new collection coming, I looked over it. It said, you know, eyeshadows, blushes, lip glosses. And I was like, holy moly, you could not be speaking more of my language right now, Kaleidos. Yes, of course I want to try it. For starters, I don't think I've actually got to try new makeup all year. I'm pretty sure it is the end of August, and this is the first time I am actually getting to sit down with a new makeup collection and analyze everything and play with everything, and my God, I'm kind of loving it. But lip glosses? I've struggled so much with dry skin this year, and that in turn has also meant that I've had really dry lips. And at the moment, I am in my lip gloss era. I am just loving them. It is my preferred type of lip product. It's my go-to, and I am very, very particular about what I like from a lip gloss at the moment. What I'm going for is really sheer, thin, super hydrating, not sticky, easy to apply formulas. So when I saw that they were releasing lip glosses, I was like, oh God, please be a nice formula. Please be the formula that I'm just so in love with. And guys, it is absolutely divine. I love these. This is what you should buy. Go and buy the whole lot. Do it. I know I would never encourage that, but if you're a lip gloss lover and you like this type of formula, then you are going to love these. I think the only thing that might, you know, make you not want to buy it is potentially the color or the finish, but let's get into it. So I am going to read some information that they sent from the press release. These are called the Untamed Glow Glossy Lip Glaze. They say perfect your pout with a vinyl-like shine and a cushiony soft feel. Yes and yes. They're calling it a trailblazing lip formula, which is fair enough because it's pretty phenomenal. They say that the base layer is a mix of high viscosity base oils that smooths the lips with seamless application, and it firmly adheres to the skin while stabilizing the formula. I would agree with that. Not only do these go on beautifully smoothly, but they actually last a really long time, even though they're quite a thin, non-sticky formula. They have a support layer, which is meant to be a unique blend of self-adjusting, lightweight, cushiony gels that swipe on as a liquid and transform to a mirror-like bouncy jelly. Yes, I don't know how, but that, if I was reading that without trying these, I'd be like, bullshit. But no, it's accurate. They claim that it cushions lips like a second skin with breathable sensation. Also accurate. I know that that sounds like buzzwords, but the formula is just, it's brilliant. And then the surface layer is a cocktail of light oils that levels the surface to achieve consistent high shine. Yeah, it really does sound buzzwordy and too good to be true, but it's not. It's just a really beautiful lip gloss formula. Let's take a look at the packaging. So you can see it is not just, you know, boring run-of-the-mill lip gloss packaging. They've put a lot of effort into it. You've got some nice metallic gradients going on. You can see the bottom, the color at the bottom where the tube is clear. And it also has like a three-dimensional packaging with that sort of spiraling effect around it. They're really beautiful, very, very striking packaging. When you open it up, you have a doe foot applicator that has some give to it. So when you're pushing it onto the lips, it's soft. It doesn't feel like firm or uncomfortable. There is, I'm not really going to be able to show you, but there, oh, maybe you'll be able to see it. There is a well in here to catch a little bit of extra product, but it's not a lot, so you don't flood the lips, which is really nice. It is so smooth. It is so light. It's not sticky. The gloss effect is beautiful. It does mention in the press release that it's meant to be like a self-leveling lip gloss, which it is. It reminds me of self-leveling nail gels, which, like, yes, do work for me. I love it. You don't have to fuss with these. These are like, you know, put it on and go. You can do this without a mirror. I will also say, and this is something that I want to point out because I haven't had these long enough or stored them in a way where I can guarantee that this would be an issue, but they do mention it in the press release. There's a click, right? Listen. All right. So when you close it, it might feel closed, but give it a little bit more and then you'll get a click, and they say that it prevents it from leaking. Now, I didn't actually notice the click until I was sitting down and I was doing my swatches for this video, and I picked one up, and whenever I pick up lip glosses or anything that's in a tube, I have a tendency to, like, you know, give it another twist to make sure it's closed properly, because sometimes I don't close things properly. And the one that I picked up clicked, and I was like, ooh, that's satisfying. And that's probably an anti-leak mechanism. So keep that in mind. It does have that, they call it a magic click. I call it a satisfying click. It's so good. So the packaging, on point. I feel like Kaleidos, whoever designed this packaging and who designed or worked on the formula of this, or the team that designed it and worked on everything about it, I feel like they love lip gloss. I feel like that's probably their favorite type of lip product, because everything that went into this just feels like they knew what they were doing. The only thing that I think this is missing, although you could argue that it doesn't need it, is a scent. It has no scent at all. Not even like chemical scent. There's no minty scent. There's no sweet like caramel or vanilla or berry or anything like that. But there's also no raw ingredient scent. If you're not into scent, you're not going to be driven away by the scent that's in this, because there is none. We're going to start with Skinny Dip, which is the one I'm wearing today. I love it. It's amazing. So they call this a neutral beige with embellished micronized shimmers. Now, if this has shimmer in it, yeah, it does actually. If you look up close, you can see it. It's subtle. It's so subtle. You can't see shimmer or glossy bits on the lips. So if you're not into that, do not worry. This is just a really beautiful nude shade. I love it. So far, my fave. Next up, we have Last Smoke. They call this a smoky, grungy mauve, which I would agree with. Shade 102 is Pink Marquise, I think it is. Marquise. They call it a glistening pink with pearlescent shimmers. And it does have a very subtle shimmer, which you can see in the tube. But once it's like out of the tube, it is so subtle that it's almost undetectable, and I think it probably just adds to the light reflect of the lip gloss. 103 is called Elixir, and and they describe this as a warm, deeply suffused pink nude. 104 is called Hot Pursuit, and this is a sultry, dusty, rosy brown. And then we have two that are like a shimmery formula, which I think is interesting. And when I first saw these, I thought they can't possibly be quite as nice and as smooth as what these ones are, because they have a very obvious shimmer in them. And when you look at the PR images that they sent, you can see that there's like shimmer or like micro glitter. So I thought they'd be grainy, but I thought wrong. This one is Free Fall, and they describe it as a semi-translucent shimmer that is like sparkling diamonds. This is, if you look in the tube here, it might look like a sort of like a grayish purple. I would say that the base color on this, hopefully you can probably catch it there, it does have an ever so slight hint of gray and purple. It almost looks clear, but it gives you like a cool toned sort of hint. So it cools the natural lip color down just a tiny bit. And then the last one, 106, this is Penthouse. So this one definitely, as you can see, has a lot more color to it. They describe it as a luscious diamond shine shifting from fuchsia to rose to gold. These lip glosses are absolutely divine. They are my favorite thing from this collection. We've seen Kaleidos with the Cloud Lab lip clays, and I like them, but also I'm prone to dry lips, dry skin. What is that? Oh my Lord. I don't know. The more I look at it, I don't know if it's cute or creepy. I just think it's creepy. At least it's on the neighbor's house and not our house. But if it's on the neighbor's house, then there's probably some on our house as well. Oh no, I'm not okay. What is that? Oh yes. So when you touch it, the hairs stick in you and irritate your skin for weeks on end. I don't like it. It is outside my window and it's moving at lightning speed. Okay, it's a Spitfire. That's awesome. Love that. Love it. Now I'm completely distracted. I don't know what I was talking about. I love those lip glosses. They're beautiful. Oh, that's right. I was talking about Cloud Lab lip clays. I like them. They're a fantastic formula and they brought out a really great range of shades. But for someone like me with dry lips, even though I would actually consider the Cloud Lab lip clays to be some of the most comfortable matte long wearing lip products that I've personally experienced, they're still a matte product. So if you have really dry lips, you get it. I don't need to explain to you. So to now have a lip gloss range from Kaleidos that caters to us dry lip girlies, where the formula is just outstanding. The packaging is really beautiful. The doe foot is fantastic. Like all of the boxes are ticked. It makes my heart sing. I love it. For me, this is the absolute standout of the whole range. So now that you know what I think of the collection and you've seen how it applies to the face, I want to do some comparisons to the past products that are similar and have been released. So we're going to talk about the Quad eyeshadow palettes and we're going to talk about the blushes. Now, the Quad palettes, when I saw the ones in the Alma Viva collection, I thought, these are really similar to what they've already released. Now that I've laid these palettes side by side and I can see what they've released in the Alma Viva collection compared to Smoking Nostalgia and the Night of Creations, I feel like what they've done is basically made a bit of a bridge between the two collections. I will say that most of what Kaleidos has released in terms of eyeshadows has been very purple heavy and very cool toned heavy. In the Smoking Nostalgia collection, we did have a more warmed tone palette and a cool toned palette, and Night of Creations was very heavy on the purple. With Alma Viva, I feel like we're seeing more of a bridge between the cool tone shades into the purples. I do still feel that these palettes are very similar to the palettes that have come before them. So if you're feeling like things are a bit repetitive and redundant, I totally understand that. But there are also nuances to the palettes. I think personally for me, I would not want to see more palettes released from Kaleidos that follow this either purple or cool toned vibe. I would like to see something different. I would even like to see them step away from doing 3 mattes with one of those beautiful metallic finishes and go into maybe 2 mattes and 2 metallic finishes, just to change things up a little bit. But in saying all of that, they do have a really beautiful formula, and I think they put together their little color stories fairly well. But I think yeah, I think a little bit of diversity would be nice. I do want to do some swatches just to show you how they differ. So we'll start with Venus Trap, which is the one that is like grey with the silver. So I'm going to start with the like taupey silver shade, so the metallic one, and I'm going to swatch the shades from the Smoky Nostalgia. So you can see that they're different. This one is more of like a pale rosy tone silver. This one's like almost gunmetal grey-ish but quite light, and this one is, it's almost like a bridge between the two. It's a silver with a slight taupiness to it. When we look at the Twilight Rush palette, so this is the purple shade in there, and then we compare it to Smoky Nostalgia, that's the difference. I would definitely say when we're looking at these purple shades that it can look a little bit samey, and it's not until you get into like the color shifts of them, looking at the color depths, this one has more of like a blackened base, and this one almost has a bluey hue to it. I'm just going to compare one of the mattes in Venus Trap. This one is from Smoky Nostalgia, very different, and this one is from Night of Creation. I might actually swatch those ones right next to each other because they are very similar, and I think the difference there is simply the undertone. This one is a bit more pinky nude, this one is a bit more purple, and of course there is a black in Twilight Rush, and there's one in Smoky Nostalgia as well. But you guys can see, wow, you can see all of like the blue and purple reflect. They both look black, it's just one is completely matte and one is it has a shimmer in it. I knew that the shimmery black would look different because it does have the shimmer in it, but I didn't actually realize that they would look that different. Okay, that's enough about the eyeshadows. I've literally been talking for ages. It's time to talk about the blushes, and I don't think this will take as long. So the only other collection that we've seen blushes come from is Smoky Nostalgia, and that was very bright. Those blushes were quite punchy and intense. There was a shade in there that could be used as a bronzer, so I am going to compare them. Let's start with the Alma Viva Collection. So these are the two like bronzing shades, shall we call them? Keep in mind these can totally be used as blushes, and I think they're being marketed as blushes, but I use them as bronzers because of the colors. So you can see big difference there. These are much softer. This one has a lot of red undertones, and I know that because I've been trying to use it as a bronzer recently, and it looks very red when I put it on as a bronzer. It works best as a blush for me. I think if you have a deeper skin tone, you could use that either as a blush or as a bronzer. So they are very different. When we look at the blushes, swatch them in comparison to the past blushes. These almost get lost. You almost can't even see them in there. I would say that this one is probably the closest. Again, I feel like you just can't see this. We're going to have to go back to studio lighting, guys, especially if I'm going to be doing anything with makeup. This one is probably the closest to what's in the Alma Viva collection, but it is brighter. It's almost got more fuchsia hints to it. It's this one. I don't know what it's called. It doesn't have the sticker on the back, but if I hold them up next to each other, yeah, no, you can't, you can barely even see that. The lighting's doing me no favors. Yeah, I don't feel like I can really show you the nuances with the blushes. They are different though. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap that up there because this afternoon light is killing me and I've been filming this for hours. So I expect this to be a long one. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you picked anything up from this range, let me know what you got. If you've received it yet, let me know what you think. Other lip gloss, your favorites, because that's my favorite. I love them. The lip glosses are divine. I've been sitting here talking for hours and my lips are still glossy, still hydrated. I'm happy that they're going to be like my favorite. I want to throw my lip project in the bin just so I can use those lip glosses for the rest of my life. They're amazing. I want to say a huge thank you to Kaleidos for sending me this collection. It has been an absolute pleasure testing out some new makeup. I also want to say a massive thank you to my channel members. I really appreciate your support. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.